What's going on, y'all? Live and direct, live on the set. That's something I like to say because we back at it again. Today's particular live is about relationship advice. That's what it's about. Not sure if I titled that, but we getting there. Because I want to know, who should we get relationship advice from? Should we be getting relationship advice from anyone? From everyone? What is the key to a successful relationship? Is it flattery? I see quite a bit of people that's made a name for themselves and they like to give relationship advice. They like to give relationship advice. Who's that? Say your name for me, girl. I'm gonna say hi to you because I don't want to mess up your name. So I'm just gonna wave to you. How you doing tonight? Thank you for joining. It's about relationship advice. If you feel the need to step up, please do. I would love to have a conversation. I'm not looking to play any games. I want to know who it is that we should get relationship advice from. And like I was saying, I hear a lot. Oh, you doing good? That's good. Good. Oh, actually, you're doing great. You're doing more than good. You're doing better than good. That's good. I'm not doing too bad myself. I'm going through a lot. My man, I got my peoples from Pakistan and from other sides of the globe. They want me to join, but nevertheless, I'm not doing too great. I'm actually in the fight right now, which is a good thing. I'm in the fight, but I'm staying strong. I'm staying strong and I'm keeping my head above water and I'm watching what's going on. And I feel this time is the best time to make yourself the most accessible to the people. I feel I have an experience and I feel I have an ability to articulate something that's informative and beneficial to the people based off of those experiences. Everybody has experiences, but not everybody can necessarily relay those experiences to others or to hear what others share with them and to give them some form of feedback that's helpful to them. So that's what it is going on right now. And that's what I hope I can provide for you beautiful people out there. So I'm glad to see that you're doing great. But it's about relationship advice. So the question is, who should we be getting relationship advice from? I've noticed of late, when I say of late, I'm going to say the past 6 months, maybe 9 months. There's been some people who've come to the forefront discussing relationships. Yes, you're looking at a black man, but I'm not only discussing black relationships, if that's a thing. I'm not only discussing that or black love. I'm going to touch on that a little bit too. Let's touch on some sensitivity, protection in relationships, and things like that. But let me not go off. Sticking to the point, I've noticed you've had some people who've spoken to relationships or who are very analytical of other people's personal relationships. One that comes to mind is she's known, it's actually two people who I'm going to speak to. One is Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, and the other is Dr. Umar Johnson. These are two particular individuals. I believe Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is from California, and Dr. Umar Johnson is from Philly, if I'm not mistaken. And he's made his bones in the streets of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, East Coast. Well, Pennsylvania is technically not on the coast, but nevertheless, it's on the East Coast. But that's where he had his beginning. He's a very educated man, especially in academics, and he feels he has a lot to bring to the table, especially when it comes to the black community. He calls himself the Prince of Pan Africanism. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, if I'm not mistaken, um, she has claimed to be educated. Is it in the University of Arizona? If I'm not mistaken, I think so. Nevertheless, She feels she has things to bring to the table as well regarding relationships. And my question is, who should we be getting our relationship advice from? Is there a particular standard or a threshold that a person should meet or pass or get through in order for us to then seek them for relationship advice? Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, like I said, I've seen her be particularly analytical of people's personal relationships, such as, oh, yeah, everyone is a relationship coach now. And you're right. We're going to discuss that. Because to be very honest with you, especially when it comes to women, I would be very cautious of who it is you're getting relationship advice from. And this is the reason why I'm saying that, is because there's a lot of tricks that people play on people. There's tricks that people play on black people. There's tricks that people play on women. And there's tricks that people play on any group, right? If you target a group, you're going to find a way to get them in a trick bag. And I'm going to tell you one of these things about women that I've noticed. I've noticed that when it comes to the wrongdoings that men were putting women through, generally speaking, that then there became this notion that if you just do it to yourself or by yourself as a woman, then it's strength. But you're still doing the same wrongdoing. Yes, a lot of men getting paid off selling women dreams. Magnificent point. Many pastors, many pastors get paid successfully. Well, they're doing very well for themselves because they, as they would say, pander to women. Women, generally speaking, are extremely supportive, and they're extremely supportive of things which they themselves may not even be physically involved in. Now, there's women involved in sports, so don't take this the wrong way. What I'm about to say, I'm talking about support, fraternizing. You could go to a sporting event, a men's sporting event, baseball, football, basketball. I don't really know too much about hockey, but let's stick with those three: baseball, football, basketball, where there's men that's performing, but you're going to see women in attendance. And you're going to see women in attendance all throughout, right? So, all throughout the whole seating arrangements, women are very supportive. When women support you, it's typically a very, very good thing. And when you have people who like to merchandise off of women, who like to get women to support them, but not necessarily for the upliftment of the women or to give them sound advice, but it's typically based in flattery. Flattery. Steve Harvey obtained much success off of constantly pumping flattery to women and telling women that wars have been fought over a woman's body part. Can somebody actually tell me how many wars have been fought over the body parts of a woman? And what were these actual wars, and what was the outcome of the wars, and why? Why was there a war? But flattery. Pastors do it a lot. I'd have to say Dr. Umar Johnson, who I was going to get to, he does it a lot. He says black queens, what? Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. That's what he says. I find that to be absurd. I find that to be absurd because to me, if you can't see you're being patronized by that, something is wrong. Something is severely wrong. And when we apply pressure, are you going to still say black queens forever? Right? Because we saw that the queens in his life applied pressure, and there was no such thing as black queens forever. It was your smurf, your struggle streamer, right? That's what you became. You went from being a black queen to a smurf. Now you're smurfette. So if you're the prince and I'm your daughter, wouldn't I be the princess? If you identify as a prince and I'm your daughter and I'm telling the world I want the prince's attention, why would you then refer to me as a smurf? Or why would you belittle me to say I'm just clout chasing? Or I'm just struggle streaming? Or I'm just a YouTubian failing? Or whatever the case may be. It just doesn't really add up. So these relationship coaches, the reason why the ladies out there should be very skeptical over who it is they're allowing them to coach them is because if you have a surgeon who is in the trauma unit, right? They're going to have very negative views on weapons because they deal with the bad side of weapons. You have people who deal with weapons as far as to protect others, self-defense. They're never going to do anything to harm anyone. They would only do something to protect their loved ones. So they're going to use what they feel is the best tool to use. But if you're a surgeon in the trauma unit, you're going to have a very skewed view over weapons because you see the worst of it. You see the people that's severely injured or possibly losing their life, right? So that's your view. If you're a relationship coach and you're telling the ladies that relationships are transactional, what does that sound like to y'all? What does that sound like to y'all when somebody is saying relationships are transactional? If a woman is telling you relationships should be quick and should be transactional, what does that sound like to you? What type of woman does that sound like to you? How are you doing? Huh? Oh no, we ain't doing that. So what would that be to y'all that somebody would be telling you that the relationships are transactional and the relationships are short? Can you think of the line of work where there's going to be women involved in it and their relationships with men are going to be transactional? They're going to be short. They're going to be many. I could think of it. And that's not necessarily something that is someone who you should be wanting to get advice from. Why would you want to get advice from somebody who's lived that life? But what's going to be their viewpoint of when it comes to relationships? When it comes to relationships, they're not going to look at them as a positive thing. They're going to look at them as a negative thing. They're not going to look at them as an uplifting thing. They're going to look at them as a negative thing because over the fact that they again see the negative aspects when it comes to relationships. They don't see loyalty. That's not the type of men who they've interacted with. They've interacted with men who may possibly have a family at home, maybe married, right? Have a girlfriend, but yet they're dealing with these particular women because these women provide a quote unquote service, right? And then they move on. But when they get a little old and their body starts breaking down and it's no longer agreeing with them, and people ain't really trying to buy their goods and services anymore, so they say they're going to give you guys advice and they get online and they start giving you relationship advice and they consider themselves to be a relationship coach. So what do they tell you? Get whatever it is that you can get out of a relationship. That's what they tell the ladies. Whatever it is you can get, you got to get it. And you got to get it fast. And if he's not doing this like this, then move on. Again, I mean, we're all grown here. What does that sound like to you? Right? You don't want that for advice. That's not sound advice. And you definitely don't want flattery neither. Flattery is very deceitful. If a person who doesn't even know you, all they have to do is just give you compliments in order to gain your support, then you're gullible. You can easily be misled. And somebody can get you to do their bidding very easily. That's all they got to do. Talk about your hair, talk about your eyes, talk about your body, talk about how you look, uh, be over complimentary about things about you, say things not even based off of information, not even based off of any form of knowledge about you. They'll just say anything. They'll just say anything about you because they're trying to get something from you. That's what they're trying to do. So if they're trying to get something from you, what do you think that they're going to do if they're trying to get something from you? They're going to find the easiest way to get it. And the easiest way to get something from you is to deceive you, right? That's how they're going to get something from you, is by deceiving you, tricking you. And they're going to play into your psyche. They're going to play off of your vulnerability. They're going to look to exploit your insecurities. They're going to know the complaints that's pretty common amongst women, and then they're going to try to take advantage of the complaints that's pretty common amongst women, because another thing that women are, uh, with being supportive as one, another thing that women are is women are vocal, right? Women don't have issues. This is generally speaking, by the way, this is a generalization. And we're not saying it to say negative or positive, we're just speaking in general. So women may very well be vocal, right? You can have a man and a woman, they have the same issue at the same time, and a man may think to handle it more with more diplomacy, and the woman may be like, "No, damn that." And I'm not talking about a woman just making a fool of herself. I'm talking about a woman that's saying, "No, damn that. We actually need to go and we need to talk to somebody, and I'm going to demand answers." Right? Something needs to change. Something needs to happen. This isn't right. You can have that very much happen on a very common everyday basis, where a woman is going to be more vocal than a man in a certain instance, right? So if somebody's trying to sell something or push something and they want your support, that's why you see very often they gear whatever it is they're saying towards women, because women are more supportive than men, generally speaking. And women will actually support more things that men do than men would do it themselves, even if the women don't do that thing. So women don't have to play football to support football. They don't need to grow up playing the game or playing in the street or playing Pee Wee or Pop Warner in order to go to a game. They'll go to the games. Homecoming, let it be a homecoming. They're going to go to those games. And they're going to know. Let it be a game in the pros, right? NFL. They're going to go to those games. So they're going to support even though they themselves don't play. So when you have these people who claiming to be relationship coaches, what they're going to do is they're going to isolate an audience. Who can it be that's going to support me? Who's going to fill my seats? What's up to all of y'all joining the live? I appreciate every single one of you. And we talk about relationship advice. Do you guys require credentials? Do you require some form of success or experience in the persons that you get relationship advice from? You got Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. She gives relationship advice. She analyzes and breaks down people's relationships. Is she qualified to do so? Does she have the experience? Has she checked the boxes to be someone who can actually give relationship advice, or to be critical or analytical of people's relationship advice? That's what I'm asking y'all. How about her? How about Dr. Umar Johnson? Does he have what it takes to give relationship advice with the Black Queens forever? Snow Bunnies never. Does that qualify him? He gets involved in a lot of flattery, a lot of flattery, a lot of compliments, um, that aren't warranted, meaning that the person who he gives it to, they didn't do anything to garner those compliments. He just gives it, right? He just gives it on sight. Is that trustworthy? Is it trustworthy from a person who's an analytical person, a person who's supposed to be clinical in their approach? Are they supposed to gather information and then give an assessment? Or are they supposed to assess you immediately? That's what I'm asking y'all. Because we got a lot of people out here giving relationship advice. One of the things I noticed about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is, and this goes back to the interview she had with Nick Cannon and Cam Newton. One of the things I noticed was she was speaking about her past when it came to being married. And she said she was not, she'd never been married, but she said she was engaged a couple of times and she was proposed to a couple of times. And she had said the reason why she wasn't married was because she wasn't the type to rush. And it seemed like a lot of people bought that. They accepted that. They said, yeah, me too. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't rush into being married neither. Well, here is the thing. See, if you were proposed to, somebody could propose to you at any given moment, right? You could be dating somebody for 3 weeks and they turn around and they propose to you. That's what it is that they could do. So that may be very well rushed. But if you're engaged, that means you already agreed, right? That's what you did. You agreed. They asked you to take their hand in marriage and you said yes. So were you rushed if somebody engaged, if somebody proposed to you and you said yes? If you were engaged, is that rushing? Because they're moving at the same speed you're moving at. Because it was enough for you to say yes. So they saw enough in you and you saw enough in them for them to ask and for you to say yes. And she said she had a couple of those. So is that rushing? I don't see how that would be rushing. I could see how somebody's saying, oh, well, I was proposed to, and that would be rushing because he proposed to me in 3 weeks. Appreciate you guys for liking the live. We got Ethiopia up here. I really do not like messing up people's names. We got Cool Phil. What up, Cool Phil? Appreciate you. Apple user up here. Who's that? Nah, appreciate you. Kathleen, if I'm saying that name correct, I hope so. Willie, definitely. Isalima, did I say that right? So if you were proposed to and you accepted the proposal and now you're engaged, we cannot say you are rushing, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. We have to say you were a willing participant. You were well involved in what was going on. You provided enough love in the relationship and enough support and enough of a foundation that a person trusted you, that this man trusted you with his heart and said, I want you to be my wife, if indeed was a man. I want you to be my wife. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. And he asked you, and you said yes. But you showed some form of fear of commitment or lack of commitment. So you backed out of it. And then you did it again because you said you did it at least twice. So that's not rushing. But you see, when a person is influential to a certain group, the group tends to not approach what's being provided to them with any form of clinical thinking or any form of analysis over what it is that somebody says. Dr. Umar Johnson, Black Queens Forever. He gives relationship advice. What do you guys think? Is he qualified? If you have 4 queens in your life and you don't have a healthy relationship with them and you call them Smurfs and you say that they struggle and they're clout chasing, what's up? Can I get my relationship advice from you? Or are you just about flattery? Pastors, there's a lot of pastors. Who is it? T.D. Jakes. Woman, thou art loosed, right? Loose from what? That's actually in the Bible. You actually can refer to it and see where that text comes from. But what was the woman loose from? Is that actual information being provided? See, so you see a lot of merchandise that gets sold by these pastors, but their target audience is women because they know women will be supportive and they know women will be vocal. So if I get women on my side, not only are they going to be the ones to get it, they're going to tell everyone else that they got it and where they got it from. That's all a beautiful thing if it's helping them. It's a bad thing if it's hurting them and they're carrying on a hurtful message, but that hurtful message instantaneously feels good to the ego. See, this is what we got to realize, that so many people out here, especially in the public space, especially when it comes to women, they like to prey on your insecurities. How do they know what your insecurities are? Because women can be vocal. So if you tell the world what your insecurities are, guess what? If that person is manipulative, that person will sit back and listen to you, and now they're going to formulate a strategy on how to get to you. So you see, like in the 80s, in the 90s, women's empowerment started to take off. People weren't really comfortable with seeing women dressed in bikinis or bathing suits and stuff like that in the company of men. And it looked like the men were taking advantage of the women. They were sexually exploiting the women. But what happened was they just removed the men out of the way by the time the mid to late 90s came about. And then it was women in the forefront, but guess what? They were dressing the same way. They just moved the men out the way. So you move Luke out the way, and now you got Lil' Kim. Mid 90s. And then eventually you got Nicki Minaj, 2000s. Cardi B. The girls from Miami and everything else, city girls, you got a lot. Right? So they're dressed in certain ways that women in the 80s and 90s were saying, no, 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 that's exploitive and very suggestive of women. That's downgrading of women. So then the ones in the think tanks sat back and said, we got to find a way to strategize. We can't stop having women doing that because women move the needle. Right? Women are running the sales. That's why they would sell cars or have a car show back, like I was saying, in the 80s and stuff like that. And you'll see a car, and the car is being geared towards men, but you're going to see the way how the woman is dressed who's showing the car off. You'll have a football game, for an example, like I was saying. The football game is more so male inspired and everything else, but you'll have female cheerleaders. But look at how the female cheerleaders are dressed, and look at how the male cheerleaders are dressed. The male cheerleaders are dressed like me. They're fully dressed, head to toe, covered. The female cheerleaders, they're not dressed like that, even though they're engaged in the same activity to keep the crowd going. So the trick that was played was, well, we'll just move men out the way. We'll get the women to think that the men were the bad guys and it was all bad for them. Remove yourself from them and do it to yourself. And now what do you have today? You got OF, right? For the fans, strictly for the fans, right? So that itself is what you're talking about. You're talking about being manipulative and getting a group, a targeted group who you feel is going to be the one to keep your agenda going. So these relationship coaches, that's who they're going after. They're going after women. They're not going after women primarily for the success of their lives romantically. They're going after them because they've got products. They've got merch. So that's who they're going after. The ones that's going to push that product and that merch. The ones who's going to buy my stupid book off of Amazon. So the way how I get you to put your guard down is to keep up the same methods that men was doing in the past, that you were being warned to stay away from. So the guy that was the slick talker and the guy who was trying to take advantage of you and giving you a whole bunch of compliments and filling up your ears with things that'll make you feel good and telling you how you number one, he was only doing that because he wanted something from you. He didn't even really know you. So now look what's happening. Now it's move the guys out of the way and we do it ourselves. But is it leading to prosperous relationships? Is it leading to, oh, now I have an understanding about how to, one, look for someone good, and two, find ways to match up with that someone who I found as good, and then how to maintain that goodness in my relationship? Is that what we're being advised to do? Is that what it is that our ladies are getting? Are they getting that source of information? Are they getting that out there? Or are they just getting simply flattery? Being told that regardless of who you are, what you do, how you do it, you had to do it. And it's all about you. Is that helping in the relationship department? Is that helping on how to sustain a household? Is that helping in how to identify a quality mate? How to recognize a good man when I come across one, and then how do I then deal and interact with that good man? What should I do? What transitions should I go through from being single to now being in a relationship? Should I be in a relationship and conduct myself the same way I did when I was single? Is that the information that's being provided? I don't hear it. I don't see it. I just see something that gets you caught up and to keep my agenda moving forward, to boost my followers, to boost my platform, to get more people to come on this side. And then I'm going to do something to address your insecurities. And how do I address your insecurities? I'm going to identify an enemy for you. So I'm going to identify an enemy for you. And once I identify that enemy, I'm going to let you know that if you're not more like me and on my side, that enemy is going to get you. And that's what they do. That enemy is going to get you. You got an enemy out there, right? So they play these games and they manipulate people. So they don't provide sound advice. And unfortunately, we as a whole, we're not looking for any form of success in the very same things of what they're given. They're not given advice from a place of success. They're giving advice just off of looking at what it is that you told them about yourself and then trying to break that down and put it in a way of how it sounds smart and that's good enough for you to buy. And then you buy it. That's easy to do. That's easy to do, and that's what every hustler does that tries to make merchandise off of people. What do you think a palm reader is going to do? A tarot card reader and a witch that you go and see above a store, or a storefront witch. She's going to ask you questions about yourself, about your family, and your interests and things that cause you pain. And then she's going to put that all together, mix it up, and she's going to present it back to you. You're going to be like, man, this woman knew me like the back of my hand. You told her everything about you. And she was able to make connections between and read in between the lines of what it is that you said. Because people, for the most part, are very similar to one another. So all she has to do is just make a guess based off of the information you gave her. That's not hard to do. That's not hard to do at all. At all. It's very easy to do. And this is what it is that's happening from those that's professing to be a relationship coach or to give some form of relationship advice. It's just all about selling a dream to you, selling some nonsense to you, just telling you anything to make you feel better than someone else. If I can make you feel better than the next person, I did my job. And if you come to me for that feel good, to scratch that itch of what it is that you got, and I can pump your head up with the nonsense. So that's why you come to me, and I make you feel good, and I send you back out there, and I've isolated an enemy for you. So you're constantly coming back to me to get the skills on how to defeat that enemy. I got you. You good. And I know you're going to go and tell somebody else and tell somebody else and tell somebody else. And here it is. This person's supposed to be a relationship expert. Let them have some gathering and see how many actual relationships show up. Because we're not talking about relationships of one. We talk about relationships, which is the involvement in intimate dealings between two people. So where is that at? Where's the product of that? Where those people actually resurfacing to say, yeah, this person did a lot for me. This person helped my relationship out. That's what'll happen. People will give some form of testimony to what it is that they did, and you would see it. That's who's going to be in attendance at their functions. Those people that's involved in relationships. They're going to come back 2-3 years later and say, man, ever since we did A, B, and C, things have been moving in this direction. I got this good going for me. I got that good going for me. And I'm looking for a relationship. I'm ready for marriage. We're about to have a child in 4 months, whatever the case may be. That's when you're seeing success. That's when you're seeing some form of building. To be a relationship coach is not just selling women on flattery, because there's no relationship if you're just talking about single women. If you're a relationship coach, it's guidelines on how to get to the relationship if you're not in one. And then it is the continual tutelage for those that's in it. That's what coaches do. Coaches only provide tutelage to players that's on the team and that's in the game. You're not a coach if you don't have a team. You're not a coach if you don't have active players. What and who are you coaching? So why in your relationships, if you're looking for a relationship coach, you're not even looking to be in a relationship? They're not even talking to you about being in a relationship. They're talking to you about staying single. How is that coaching you? You can stay single all by yourself. Why are you paying money? Oh, you know why? Because it's to make you feel good for poor choices or poor outcomes. That's what it's for. So if you're single, that means you're isolated. If you're isolated, that means you're vulnerable. If you're vulnerable, that means you're susceptible to attacks. If you're susceptible to attacks, that means you don't have somebody in your corner who you can run something by for them to give you feedback. So it's best that you stay isolated, because if you're isolated and alone, now I got you with me, as opposed to you going back to your home and then you talking about, hey, this is what I heard from this guy, or this is what I heard from this woman. What do you think about that? That's why the target audience always seems to be the same group of people. So that's what I asked y'all. Who is it that we should be getting our relationship advice from? What are the credentials? What's the criteria? What success do they need to have obtained? That's what I want to know from you guys. Appreciate all of you guys for rocking with us tonight. Definitely wanted to put that out there. Y'all can catch this. It's going to be on YouTube. It's on YouTube right now, just like it's on TikTok right now. So definitely subscribe, follow, like it. Appreciate you. You know what's up. I'm going to say hi to you because I definitely want to thank you for all of what it is that y'all did, that you did tonight. Some great comments in the chat. You was definitely there with us. So catch it on YouTube. Again, who should we be getting relationship advice from? Is it just from anyone? My kids is here. They don't got school tomorrow. And they over there in the background. They watch my content. My mom does, kids do. and they actually support it. It's pretty good. But you guys be safe. You guys have a lovely evening, depending on where you at in the world. Have a good day. Catch us for more. Appreciate all of you guys.